It's time to talk about the week that ended on April the 15th, 2023. Yes, I know I'm a little behind. This is period 16, and this is one you're going to watch. This is my highest one ever. Let's talk about it. Coming up. All right, it's time to talk about the pay for this week. Keep in mind, this is the period that ended on April the 15th. I'm a little behind. Got to knock out a few videos to catch up. But this is an important one. And it's really important that I hope that you'll stick around and listen to my final thoughts on it. Let's get into the pay sheets. This week I had 4,296 dispatched miles, 2,427 logged miles, 2,431 odometer miles. Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't mathing here. Remember I warned you all about carryover? How people will show you carryover? This is an example of a carryover week. Because when you look at the logs, I definitely had the best 5-day week ever because I was off on a reset one day and at home another day. We'll talk about that later in the video. My average net speed was 53 miles per hour. It's time to look at my unedited pay statement for the period ending April 15th. This is the 16th pay period of the year. Run number 1 went from Long Beach, California to Fort Recovery, Ohio, and had a stop in Ontario, California. It was $1,456 for 2,191 miles or 66.5 cents per mile. Run number 2 started at the Fort Recovery, Ohio terminal and ended at the Fort Recovery, Ohio terminal. It had stops in Kansas City, Missouri, Lenexa, Kansas, Kansas City, Kansas, back to Kansas City, Missouri, and Vandalia, Illinois. It paid a total of $996 for 1,299 miles, 76.9 cents per mile. Run number 3 went from Fort Recovery, Ohio, and ended at my home in Shadydale, Georgia. It had stops in Lexington, Kentucky, Richmond, Kentucky, Murrayville, Georgia, Duluth, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, and Noonan, Georgia. It paid $807 for 805 miles. That's $1 a mile. That's a pretty good one, isn't it? This week, we got paid the quarterly safety bonus. My quarterly safety bonus was $382. $355 of that is 1 cent per mile for miles driven in the previous quarter, plus $27 for having watched the video. Time for the earnings summary box. I had $97 in empty miles, $72 handling and securement, $50 for hazmat miles, $100 for a 34-hour reset, $2,653 for loaded miles, $355 for safety bonus miles, $27 for the safety bonus video, $290 in stop pay. That totaled $3,646 total pay for 4,296 miles and comes out to 84.9 cents per mile. Time to take a look at the year-to-date. Year-to-date, we've had 16 weeks. The gross income year-to-date so far is $35,106. Total miles is 44,953. Dividing that by 16, we get an average gross income of $21.94 and an average miles of $28.09. Then we take that and we multiply that by 52. I'm on track to make $113,932 for the year. I'm on track to be at 146,068 miles, or 78.1 cents per mile. Looking at the calendar, so far in the month of April, I've worked 11 days, been home 1 day, and off on the road 3 days. Year to date, I've worked 77 days, been home 17 days, and off on the road 11 days. And while truck drivers are not paid overtime, it is a neat calculation to take a look at. This week I made $36.46. I worked 51.9 hours. That would have been 40 hours of regular, 11.9 hours of overtime, or $63.12 per hour, $70.26 per hour with no overtime calculated in. Year to date, I've made $35,106, worked 878 hours. 639 of those hours would have been regular time. 238 of those hours would have been overtime. Remember, that is calculated on a weekly basis. $35.22 would be my hourly rate with overtime. $40.01 would be the rate with straight time. I'm using today's final thoughts video to talk about something from this video. truck stop recruiters have changed. It used to be there was that guy walking around the truck stop who showed you that phenomenal pay statement. You saw that great pay statement, you wanted to jump at his company. Today's world, it's YouTube truck stop recruiters. And yes, I do get referrals if you come to Cheeseman, but I'm trying to present the most open and broadest picture that I can of the actual job and the company. The truth is, we don't have a lot of open trucks. We don't have a lot of open trucks because people don't leave that often. People like this company. So I can tell you now, you can apply and you can put me down as a reference. And I love it when you do. I don't need a referral code. You just tell them Tom Bell. We use names here. When you call in here, you're not a number, you're a name. But anyway, I know that they're looking for drivers, Western Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut. Only areas that I know of that they're looking for drivers. Doesn't mean you can't try if you live somewhere else. But it's important that you understand that this week's pay statement was a phenomenal pay statement that had carryover. When someone shows you a pay statement like this, regardless of whether it's me or anyone else, you got to make sure you look at the year to date, divide that by the number of weeks that have already passed or pay periods that have passed, and then multiply that by 52 to get an accurate representation of what you can expect to make. You have to be sure you're comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges. You do not want to be a job hopper in today's trucking industry. There are many people who are getting turned down when they try to apply for a company because they've had too many jobs in the last year. Do research. Research and networking is how you find the best positions. And this is not all about compensation. Culture, home time, equipment, compensation. You might change that order about depending on where you're at in your trucking career. But I cannot stress enough that this is the pay statement that some people will throw out on YouTube and state, look at how great I did this week. And they won't tell you last week was $1,700 week. They want you to think that a $3,800 week is an every week thing, and it's not. It is an exception, not the rule. You can see what my average is. I am on track to make six figures, and I do run about 2,700 to 2,800 miles a week. But realistically, my average per week is between $2,100 and $2,200. I've got a lot of $1,700 weeks. I got a lot of $2,400 and $2,500 weeks. It is important that you always consider an average. I can't tell you enough because I watch some of these videos from people, and I watch them and they tell you how great this company or that company is. And they tell you how it's a secret and you should jump on board with it. Yet sometimes in those same videos, they're already talking about where they're planning to go next or how they want to get their own authority. If it's so great, why do they want to leave? I left Cheeseman once. I came back. It wasn't that I wasn't making money at the lease options that I tried. It was that I could make as much, if not more money here at Cheeseman than I could as a lease operator with far less stress and worry. Good companies are companies that have 6-digit DOT numbers, start 0, 1, 2, low numbers. These are companies that have been around for a long time. They've weathered stuff like this. This company's been in business since 1946. They've went through low freight markets. They've went through high freight markets. They know how to do it. They know what they're doing. Are there 7-digit DOT companies that are great? Sure there are. But you got to do a lot more research on a Johnny-come-lately because they may not have survived and went through something like 2008 or years and years before that, the 70s, the 80s. There have been numerous times that this market has went up and down. And a good company has learned how to ride through that. There's another company out here that has got very loyal drivers. The drivers are riding through it with them. They're riding through it because of culture. Because a lot of them aren't making hardly any money right now. I've heard many of them drivers talking about triple-digit pay as lease operators. Again, culture, home time, equipment, compensation. Is the company getting you home? Do they think 1 day per week is enough? Because it's not. I myself, I take 3 to 4 days every 2 weeks. Most of the people with this company are home every week for 2 days. Not a 34, 2 days. Again, you look over everything, do your research. Network and research. The best companies are not advertising. I know 4 companies that are paying, and I've seen the pay statements, $90,000 plus. They're not advertising. Not a single one of them is ever advertising. Until next time, be sure and enjoy every day at work.